Hi. Hello. This is On Imagination with the Radical Global Healing Plan. All right. So this is now for people who have read Sophie's World and who are logicians. So, God, this is so much fucking easier than anything else I had planned. Here I am. And I know what it is. It's because when I started this whole thing, I started all the way over there. And then I had to deconstruct it and then reconstruct it. And I'm sitting here going, how the fuck am I? And I had to think it all backwards. And I'm like, I'll just do a walkthrough. So this is really just a Triadic Healing walkthrough. That's really all it is. So I'm going to have a couple. So two things. The first kind of people I'm going to have here are the people who have actually done the work. Then there's going to be the people who are stragglers who step in and who are here prematurely. And they're going, oh, this is like the middle of a program. I shouldn't be here. And you're crashing it anyway. You know who you are. Because I would do that. That's exactly the shit I would do. I would see that, step in and go, what are they talking about? And then I would go back and look at it. So I do not fault you for being here prematurely because that is so the thing I would do. I get it. And the problem is you are not going to understand a lot of it. You're not going to follow a lot of it unless you have the prerequisites in place. And if you think you can just walk in the middle of the program and try and build from there, you have a shitty fucking foundation. You need to not build on sand. So get your ass over to Triadic Healing Part 1 because I know who you are. So what we are looking at is I'm now taking a massive step back and I'm looking at everything. I have 12 different perspectives, all of you at your own growth stage. And it's a matter of making sure that each and every one of you gets addressed. Now, in the very beginning, I'm addressing all of you. I'm addressing the really fucking stupid idiots who are arguing with me. I am addressing the people who want to learn, but they still don't know how to break their fucking ego to learn. I've got people who are humbled and learning. And then I've got people who are like, all right, you're probably the ones fast forwarding through all my shit, which is understandable because that early part of it where I call people stupid, you don't need it. And then I got to a point where once we got past the mostly stupid, then I got to a point where I was like, all right, I can dial it down because now those people are either broken with they have no ego finally, and you need to understand there's a difference between self-esteem and ego. Self-esteem needs to go like fluff, fluff, fluff. Ego needs to be broken down into the abyss of hell. That's the difference. Ego is what gets in your way from learning. Self-esteem is self-love. We love self-esteem. We want you to go, I'm awesome. And I'm also learning. Arrogance and ego are all about your relationship to knowledge and learning. And that's all this really is. We are talking about the metric of knowledge, your ability to assess whether or not you know something or not. And the biggest problem we have is you were educated by a bunch of idiots, by Rome. Now, the really smart people already figured this out. They already did their own DIY. They already supplemented their education and they took off. That's why they're all abundant, wealthy, prosperous, and well, they Atlas shrugged most people because they took off. And I don't blame them. I had that moment too where I'm going, do I just Atlas shrug these assholes? I was there. Every fucking one of us does it. It's like, all right, I did it. I got out of that fucking shithole now. What do I do now? But the problem is I knew there were people like me still back there, still caught. And you are surrounded by a bunch of fucking idiots. And you're just trying to get yourself to the truth, but you can't get around the dumbasses. So you probably have a dumbass in your way. And knowing when you have a dumbass in your way is a big part of knowing how smart you are. In addition to knowing whether or not you have a dumbass in your way, you also have to question everything you were taught by the dumbass. This is vital. You have to first measure their intelligence. Now, they are going to pose the question, which is the true question of a dumbass. How do I know if someone is smart enough to teach me if I am not a master of the subject? So I'm going to teach you what we learned in ancient Greece. It is not the student's responsibility to understand what a teacher is saying to you. It is the teacher's responsibility to make it clear for you. I'm going to say that again. It is not the student's responsibility to understand what the teacher is saying. It is the teacher's responsibility to make it so clear that you understand. A good teacher is one that can help you understand something so clearly, so articulate, that you don't even know I'm here, that your brain does the work for you, because your brain does the work without me. All I'm doing is giving it a little gas. That's why I said, go read Sophie's World, and then you really don't need me anymore. So after this point, if you've read Sophie's World, my work really is done. All I really need to do at this point is point, guide, and show you. There are some books I really strongly recommend you read. There are multiple different paths you can take, but this is your choice now. After you have logic, you now need to learn how to navigate. And that's what I'm going to teach you. It's how to navigate. Now, we have a couple different ways we can do this. You can figure it out for yourself, which is okay. You can absolutely do that. If you have logic and you're good. Now, I'm going to warn you, it's going to take you a long time to do it without a mentor. Or I can sit down and teach you the same tools that I figured out, but it took me 30 years and a whole lot of fucking amount of knowledge and information. So I can take that information, condense it into a few sentences in classes, give it to you, and then teach you how to navigate and then send you off. You're on your own. This is DIY learning, DIY healing. You don't need me. You should not need anyone. Now, the flip side of that is, well, I don't think I had a flip side. I just saw the spectrum. I gave the A and the far extreme Z, and there's all these variations in between. There's hybrid. So you can go one extreme, you can go the other extreme, or you can create a cocktail for yourself. This is where self-authority, the second ethic, really kicks in, and you need to take over. The problem is that second ethic is violated by the Roman educational system, which I don't even feel like I should be calling it an educational system at this point. It's just a garbage dump. So you have the Roman garbage dump. The Roman garbage dump. That's what I'm going to call it, the Roman garbage dump. And the biggest problem that I have is I can see the Roman garbage dump. Every one of you was educated in the Roman garbage dump by abusers who just were king of the garbage dump. So you have king of the garbage dump happening, king garbage. And you have people who have degrees in garbage. You know these people. You know these people. I know these people. Degrees in garbage. And then you have the ancient Greek educational system, which is an actual educational system. And when you start to look at the difference between the ancient Greek educational system and the Roman garbage dump, you're really going to see the Roman garbage dump. And you're going to go, holy fucking shit. And I'm going to go, I know, right? No wonder why Anna was such a bitch in the beginning. Oh, yeah, I know, right? See? Now you understand me. So this is common. This is everyone who's gone through the program comes back and they're like, I can see it everywhere. Now you see the Roman garbage dump. Wait until you find the boasters of the Roman garbage dump. They're covered in slime and sewage. Look how beautiful I am. The emperor is naked, dumbass. Yeah, you see my problem. So you first have to recognize the Roman garbage dump. And then you have to recognize that there's going to be kings of the garbage dump. And we're going to break this down into story because you know, that's awesome. We're going to break this down into story. So I'm going to step into the abstract and I'm going to show you my world. And the reason why is because we're going to start breaking this down so that once you understand where everything is in relativity to everything else, you're going to be able to figure out where and who you are. So you've got the Roman garbage dump. A lot of people trust the Roman garbage dump. I don't know why. Probably because they were educated by the Roman garbage dump. And the Roman garbage dump is only Lord of all so long as you don't have the second ethic. So the Roman garbage dump is dependent upon you having no authority. So authority is now given over, which actually isn't given, it's stolen. So now we're talking about non-consensual shit. And literally it is it is domination and submission. So now we're getting into BDSM. I should just do BDSM classes in the afternoon. All right, now we're going to talk about BDSM. You know what? Maybe we'll do that. Maybe I'll do my whole BDSM consensual platonic BDSM discussions in the afternoon. So now you're looking at domination, you're looking at submission, you're looking at authority. Now you're getting into all the whole power dynamics. There's just no other way to dice this. So now power dynamics is part of your education. And if these dumb fucks had any intelligence at all, they'd know that that has no place being in an educational system, because that's when learning stops. So learning only happens when you are in the second ethical perspective, when you are embracing and practicing self-authority. This is what I refer to as the forbidden fruit paradox. But the moment you have an educational system, it immediately takes out that second self-authority ethic and it puts it over into authority, which completely crumbles the second ethic, and now you're not learning. So in order for someone to learn, you have to preserve the power dynamic that is the equal footing. In order to do that, there can be no teacher. There can't be, logically. But the Roman garbage dump does nothing but have teachers, destroys your second authority, practices non-consensual domination and submission with humiliation, cruel humiliation. Let's clarify, cruel humiliation. I spent the last 10 videos telling everybody how dumb fucking stupid they were. And then I backed it up by explaining, if I don't break your ego, you're never going to learn. And now I'm sitting here going, there's humiliation, which is cruel. We call that degradation. And it's all about your ego. It's all about fluffing up your power. And now we're talking about ego again, because it's not about you. It's about the authority ego. That's all it is. They're using false authority to boast their ego. And then they're lying about what it's called. And they're actually talking about ego. Well, I have the authority. No, you have the fucking ego. That's what you've got. The only real authority is self-authority. I'm teaching you. I have more knowledge than you. You're sitting there watching me, and you have the authority. You can turn me off anytime you want. I am your submissive little bitch. Don't let it go to your head. So here I am trying to teach you, which I can only do if you consent. So who's really in charge? You or me? It's your mind. You have the self-authority. You have the authority to turn this on and listen. You have the authority to walk away. I'm nobody. I can sit here and talk all day long, but at the end of the day, if you don't buy my ticket, I still cannot be heard. So now I owe you a very, very warm thank you so much for being my audience. Now that is self-authority. Now you're open to listen. But if you're coming into my video channel to argue with me, bitch at me, complain at me, just to boost your ego, well, now I'm going to tell you how fucking little shit you are, because you don't even know how to learn. See, an intelligent person would look at this, go, it's not for me, and walk away. A stupid person would get all poofed up and sit there and challenge me. So every time I get an insulting or condescending comment, I'm like, wow, stupid. You know, you could have just turned off the TV. You could have just turned off the TV, but they don't. They're too stupid. So now the really smart person is someone who has the ability to listen to what I'm saying, assess and weigh in, and now measure. Am I smarter than you? Am I more wise than you? Do I have something to teach you? Can you learn from what I'm saying? You have to decide that. You have to decide. It's all up to you. We're back again to your self-authority. There is no such thing as authority unless it's being referred to as the self. Self-authority, authority only exists in the first person. It only exists in the first person. It cannot exist in the second or third, no matter how much they want it to. So that's the first delusion and lie they've told you. It can only exist in the first person. Authority is only ever the self. Self-authority is the dumbest, most redundant thing in the world, because you're saying self-authority, self-authority. The self is authority. Author, authentic. Author. The concept of a ghostwriter. I mean, do you realize that? It's literally an authority figure who claims that they're an authority figure is actually trying to say that they're an expert, but they're so shitty at their job, they don't even know that the word they're looking for is expert. So already I'm questioning their knowledge. They're claiming to be an authority on a certain subject, but they don't even know the difference between an expert and an author of a subject. Dipshits, Pythagoras was the author of music theory. He wrote it. That's an author. He's the authority on music theory because he fucking wrote it. I am the authority of power economics because I fucking wrote it. I am the fucking authority of Pythagorean psychology because I wrote it. If you parrot it, you can study it all you want, but you're still a parrot. You're not an authority on anything. You are a student of something. Because real authors write. Oh, yeah, that's going on my mug. Real authors write. That's right. I'm writing that down, guys. Real authors write. I feel like there should be muscle behind that, like big real authors write. And this is, yeah, real authors write. That's all there is to it. If you aren't fucking writing your own academic discipline, you're not an author. You're not an authority on any fucking thing. You might be a master at it. Let's use that word. You might be a master discipline over something. Words matter. So you have a bunch of apprentices claiming to be authorities without even knowing what the word authority means. What they're really trying to say is they have mastered it or they're an expert on it. But they're too stupid to even know the difference between master, expert, and authority. So now they're claiming to be the author of a subject that they only mastered. But because they don't even have the ability to articulate their mastery, they're really idiots. So the moment someone claims to be an authority of something, they're really stupid. That is your first sign that they should not be teaching you. If they claim to be an authority, then it means they're writing it, which is why the word is author, authority. Now, what you are really doing is writing your own story. You are writing your own story. That is what the healing journey plan is. There's the healing journey plan, and there is the learning journey plan. And then there is the business plan. It's all the same thing. It's actually stages. Healing is synonymous with learning, which is actually growing. Now, I have a whole lot of science behind me to break down why healing, learning, growing, and love are all the same thing. It's on my website, AnnaImagination.com. Go there, take a look at it. My name is Anna, not Anna. Every now and then I say that. And I'm like, why did I just call myself Anna? Ew, it's Anna. So heal, learning, growing, love. These are all the same things. These are the same fucking thing. And when you break them all down, you're going to notice that there's a code. And that code is the logical code for all of these, which matches logic. And you find out that logic is healing, learning, growing, love, and logic. And it's all the same thing. And when it's done correctly, it's called truth. When it's done incorrectly, it's called a lie. So truth is correct. Healing, learning, growing, love, and logic. And lie is incorrect. Healing, learning, growing, love, and logic, which means it's not at all logic, love, growing, learning, or healing. It is disintegration. You also find out that integration is also healing, learning, growing, love, and logic, which is correct truth, which is integration. These are all the same thing. Healing, learning, growing, love, logic, truth, and integration. They are all the same thing. If you do not have this, then what you have is a lie. It's incorrect and you're disintegrating, and you are not healing. You are not learning. You are not growing. You are not loving. You have fear. You do not have logic. You have a lie. It is incorrect and you are disintegrating. These are all dichotomies, which means there is no opposite. It is in ratio to, which is part of logic, which you should know that by now because you have read Sophie's World and or are a logician. So we're good. I don't have to explain to you what dichotomy is. So we're sitting here looking now in ratio to, are you healing or aren't you? And by the way, this is very simple. If you are learning, then you're fine. If you're not learning, then you're stupid. The only reason why you're not learning is because you're stupid. It just kind of not learning. Okay, you're stupid. And that's just it. It means you're not learning. So if you're learning, you're fine. Now you've got to figure out, am I or am I not learning? Now that we can talk about. Now that you've studied logic, we can discuss that. How do you know if you're not learning? Most people do not know what the feeling of growth or learning is. there is an emotion in your brain called epiphany. Epiphany, I remember when I was a child and I first heard the word epiphany. It was in reference to Archimedes and Eureka. I love this story. It's one of my favorite fucking stories. Archimedes was an alchemist who was charged by the king or the emperor back in ancient Greece to determine if the goldsmith had cheated him. The king had ordered a crown, and he wanted to know if it was pure gold or not, because he paid for a pure gold crown. But how do you check to see if it's valid? So he hired Archimedes to test the gold crown without destroying it to see if it is real gold. So Archimedes could not figure out this problem. The legend goes that he took a bath and he sat down in the water, and when he did, the mass, displacement, physics, the water overflowed. And because of displacement and mass, he made the mathematical connection, because he saw pattern recognition in his bath water to mass and weighing of the gold, and he had an epiphany. He was in his epiphany. He screamed, "Eureka!" and jumped naked out of the bathtub, ran down the street naked to tell the king, "I have your answer. Put the crown in water. Depending upon the water displacement will tell us if it's real gold or not." I don't have the metallurgy in front of me and the physics to sit down and break down the actual calculation of why that would work. I don't have that right now. But it worked. They proved that the crown was false. The guy was beheaded. All were happy except the beheaded guy who lied to the king, because that's just dumb fucking. When the king and the dude who has the power to kill you pays you to do a job, you fucking do it. You don't cheat him. So that all being said, this concept of epiphany and eureka is, well, specifically epiphany, is a very interesting one. We're going to step into neuroscience. What happens in the brain when you have an epiphany is basically you have a little area in your brain that fills up like a vial with hormone. And every time you study, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And when it finally reaches 100%, it pops and triggers an entire chain reaction called epiphany. It releases a certain amount of hormone. Your hippocampus grows. Your amygdala shrinks because your hippocampus is growing and shrinking it down, and you get smarter. Another side effect of that is the synapses in your brain fires faster. Your synapses fires faster. So you can actually, I have the formula for this. You can actually take the precise formula, go through the proper order of operations to learn in the precise order in order to fill that file, get the epiphany, pop it, and then boop, your synapses are going faster. And then you do it a lot. And then you keep doing it. And then you realize, oh, look at that. I'm literally on purpose raising my own IQ. So that formula is over on my website. That is at my science stuff. And we cover this with you in Triadic Healing Part 1. This is one of the things we're going to be covering, is how you can use your brain to get that epiphany, so you can pop that epiphany so you can grow your brain. So you basically want to feed your brain epiphany juice. I love everything about that sentence. You basically need to feed your brain epiphany juice. That's it. So your brain needs to eat epiphany juice. That is the diet of your brain, epiphany juice. How often do you feed epiphany juice to your brain? I feed my brain epiphany juice at least once a day. On an average day, I get epiphanies probably about every 10 times a day. I have an epiphany. I have met people who have never had epiphanies, and they are fucking dumber than a box of rocks. It blows my mind away. I'm going, how can you not feed your brain epiphany juice? Epiphany juice is hormones. I believe one of them is serotonin. I started to feed my brain epiphany juice when I was 15 years old. I have been eating a regular diet of epiphany juice. I did this the other day, and I was so pissed off. I'm like, come on. All right. So what hormones are released when you have an epiphany. There we go. No, everyone does not experience them differently. Oh my God, this is so painful. Dopamine and oxytocin. It's also clarity. It's relief. Where's Nim? I want an abstract. Let's go, what an abstract. I don't know why I can't find it. I found it so easily at one point. And it was just like, oh, there they are. And it was oxytocin, dopamine, and serotonin. But I do not like quoting myself from my memory. I don't like doing that. And I like to go back, read up on it, and see what it is. Just to constantly like nourish my brain. I like that. I feel better with that. Which hormones are released during epiphany? And I found this one article from Nim that broke down all of it. It was beautiful. Pineal gland. Melatonin. No. All right, I'm not going to do it anymore because I'm just getting frustrated. I don't know why I couldn't find it when I needed to previously, but that's all right. So basically, you're looking at dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, epiphany juice, and it literally grows your brain. It's literally brain juice. And like I said, I have been feeding my brain a steady diet of this since 1995. That is when I figured this out, and I loved the feeling so much that I learned how to do it, and I just kept repeating it. So if you are not getting epiphanies on a regular basis, then you are not learning. You are not learning. If you are attending, like, I mean, really think about this. This is really it. And I can't explain this enough. There's the emotion, and then there's epiphany and brain juice, and it's a completely different experience. Brain juice is just, that comes out with pure logic. The only way to get epiphany and brain juice is logic. There's no other way. You cannot get epiphany brain juice any other way. You have to do logic. Logic is problem solving. Logic is the building and the integration of life itself. And so you're literally building and weaving logical code when you are problem solving. Like, let me put it to you this way. Building universal logical code is purifying logical fallacy so that everything makes sense. And I do mean everything makes sense. And the other side of that is basic problem solving. It's a much simpler version of problem solving. So every time you sit down to problem solve, you are only working in about 3 logical codes. When you are looking at proofs, you're only looking at 3 proofs. Imagine working with about 500,000 of them. I love my job. It's so much fun. And you have to make sure that every single one of them is compatible with every single other code. A code is a sentence. Oh, now we're getting into linguistics. A code is just a sentence. It's a formula. It's a formula. you have math is number, logic is word. So it's word formula. And now you got to know words. Now you're breaking it down even further. You cannot go further without linguistics. So now you're looking at the ordering of the word, the logic of the word, its relativity to all the other words, how each word plays a part in a sentence. And you speak them all the time. But if you're not speaking them properly, then you're not going to get the manifestations that you need. People who speak poorly have fewer manifestations. People who speak very well have the most manifestations. So when you are not getting your manifestation, the question you need to be asking is, how is my language? Now, in addition to language, you also need to know your ability to put them in the right order. Now you're looking at logic. So what to say is linguistics. How to say it is logic. Logic is the ordering of operations for the language. Linguistics is the definition and the how of the word linguistics, or of language. So now you're building logical code when you're trying to solve a problem. Every time you have a problem or a confusion or a situation in your real life, what's really going on is you lack the comprehension to continue the conversation forward. You have hit a wall. The wall is a breakdown of logic. It's amazing to me. Human beings cannot live literally without logic. You don't have logic, you're not going forward. Hence catch 22, which is why you keep going back to the beginning. Now you might be able to elongate your catch 22 and you're right back at the beginning. So then you go back through your life, you do everything, and then you go back to now you're not PTSD. Which is why people with PTSD never get out of the situation they're in. They just keep recycling the same situation over and over again. So when you are in a conflict with someone you love and things are getting rockier and rockier, the rockiness is your breakdown and lack of logic, yours and theirs. Because if they had the logic, let's assume this for a moment, if they were logically correct, then they would say to you, I understand your situation. We need to sit down and break this down, and this is where you're having a problem. But they don't, because they also have a logical fallacy. So now you've got two people who love each other, and neither one of them can even communicate what the fuck is going on. And the other one would say, I don't know. I just know that I suddenly can't communicate. And then you start talking like that at each other, and then you break up. The Tower of Babel. That's what all of this is. You are literally consumed by babble and you don't even know it at this point, which is why I'll talk to somebody from the other world and I'll hear them and I'll be like, I don't know what this means. And sometimes, and the reason why is because it's losing its relativity. The more people talk to me where I am now, the more I'm starting to lose relativity because I'm here so much now that this is the truth, this is the logic, this is the way it is. And now it's comparing it in relativity to the truth. So then somebody from Rome comes over and they say some weird shit to me. And I'm going, well, it would have to be in relativity to the truth. But this is the truth. I don't know even what you're saying. So now I'm at a point where it doesn't make sense. Now, don't worry about it because by the time you get to this point, there's going to be a ton of people like you over here. So it's not a problem. We have a community. That's why I have a community. Is because I realized once you get to a certain point, you can't communicate with people on the outside. So it's like, wow, this is why there's no community over here. Now, this is where there's two schools of thoughts because you're in the binary two-dimensional world where everything is black and white and dimension because you don't have truth over there. So basically what's going on over in Rome is you're stuck in this position where you can't because you don't have the knowledge to go on. So you just quit and you stay where you are. And everyone just keeps quitting and staying where they are. We are in a society of people quitting and staying where they are because they've done the math that, oh, if I advance and go further, I'm not going to be able to even communicate with anybody. Listen to the words out of my mouth. So it was amazing. I had one person I was talking to for quite a while, and she was spending a lot of time with me, and she was adopting my language. She was thinking and it was amazing to watch her get healthier and healthier. And then she went off and had to do some things, and then we grew apart. And she would talk to me sporadically after that and be like, oh my God, I can feel the difference. And she was toggling between my point of comprehension over here and where she was. The problem is mimic, mirror, repetition, response. You are going to absorb whatever environment you have around you. I'm going to actually have people who just come here, listen to me, just to surround the language around them so they can start developing around what I'm looking forward to. So they can start developing a community that they can interact and come around. This is the fun part. By the way, if you want to be part of that community, it's called Pando. And I'm building it. Like I said, we already have a WhatsApp group and we're going to be expanding on it so you guys can interact with each other. But one of the things that I absolutely love is, and my people who started hanging around me saw this, they started to hang around. And when they started to leave, go back to the other community, they're like, oh my God, I can't hear it anymore. It's like, yeah, you visited Greece so much that when you go to Rome, you can't stand it. And so I've got a group of people who are very much in that, like, it's the language. It's absolutely the language. The more you hear the language, the more you adapt the language, the more the situation around you changes. Romans can't hear me. Romans hear me and they're disgusted by me. They attack me. Romans come near me and now I can hide it. I can start speaking like, I will not speak like them. And that's part of my problem is I stopped speaking like a narcissist. So when I changed my language, they went away. You don't attract narcissists. You don't attract abusers. You attract the language attracts. So whatever language you're using is what's bringing in the people toward you. 100%. It's the most amazing psychological behavior we have. It's the most beautiful thing. It was in the movie La Amistad. They were looking for people who were born in Africa, a very specific country, location, region, tribe in Africa. So they were in New York City. They collected counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all in that language. And then they just walked around on the streets, 2 men, and they just read off these words in African. One man was able to step out of the crowd and approach them like, why are you speaking this language? And they were able to single him out because of the language. We are attracted to our language because our language speaks our logical code, because our logical code is our language. So I am speaking a purified logical code that has no narcissism in it. It's ancient Greek. That's what abstractic is. Abstractic is a purified language without any narcissism in it. There is no narcissist or abuser logical code in this. This is what it sounds like. It was 100% structured around following the 12 ethics. So the more you follow the 12 ethics, the more you listen to me, the more you tune in, the more you hear it, the more you're training your logical code in your brain to suddenly purify all the narcissism out of you. All you have to do is tune in and listen to me. Really fucking cool, isn't it? Suddenly you can use logic to embed any message you want inside of anything. Now, before you freak out, once you study logic, you can figure out which code it is. But also you can just observe and see. If you're attracting narcissists, it's because your language is narcissist language. If you're attracting pedophiles, it's because your language is pedophilia. If you are attracting truckers, just because you're speaking trucker language. If you are attracting a bunch of Trump supporters, it's because I cannot believe I said his name. I just gave that credit. Oh shit. You're going to be attracting those person supporters. I have a personal vow never ever to speak or type that name on any of my social media, to boycott it. Because every time you say speak it, type it, the computer goes, oh, this is a trend. No, we don't want it. No, it's not a trend. So if you stop saying it, it goes away. It's all in the language we use. So this was something I developed in April of this year. I figured it out in December of 2023. And then it was March. My radar was going off like crazy. And by April, I was able to break it down to holy fucking shit, it's the language. So I'd already started building the language abstractic at that point. But then in April of 2024, yeah, that's right, about 3 months ago, May, June, July, August. So 4 months ago, I perfected this language. And I suddenly had no narcissists coming around me in 4 months, not a single one. I'm going, where the fuck this is amazing. So then I started to study the language that I'm watching everybody else use. And when people are like, I attract narcissists. No, you don't. Your language does. Here's the better part. It started attracting the most intelligent of all people. That was interesting. Suddenly I had a massive community of really fucking high intelligent people going, whoa. There's going to be a point where intelligent people speak in such a way. This is something that this has been bothering me for decades on this research. I noticed the more I educated myself between the ages of 4 and 12, the more my language changed. I noticed that I spoke differently than my family after a while. And then I spoke differently after my family. And then I spoke differently after my family. I would have really dumb people mocking my accent. Now that I couldn't figure out. What accent? That took me a very long time to figure out. And then I would go into other locations. They would hear me speak and they'd be like, what the fuck is that accent? A very fucking long time to figure it out. My accent is my perspective. Your accent contains your perspective education, your wisdom. And the reason why so many people could not figure out the accent that I had, including myself, was because it is a perspective language. So that the more you learn, the more your language changes. The more you learn, the more it refines into a whole nother language. It's amazing. It was so fucking amazing. I grew up in the ancient Greek educational system. So I speak with an ancient Greek accent. It's weird, but this is their culture. My entire mind embodies the entire culture of ancient Greece. It is the most fucking amazing thing. I just got to say, this is the kind of research I'm doing. Now you're at my level. This is where I'm at, where I'm sitting here going, okay, wait a minute. Here's the if then clause. If an educational system is the summation of a culture crammed into a single concept that can be unraveled exactly from a seed, just like the germination process, and thus the art, the sculpture, this explains why I had such a massive draw to everything that was ancient Greek. Now, I noticed similarities in the Irish educational system. In fact, the Irish educational system is almost identical to the Greek educational system, and their myths even overlap. As in the people. There are Irish myths about the people in Ireland spending time in Greece. So now I'm looking at Greek, Ireland. Ireland and Norway had a whole relationship there. Oh, they did. There was an orgy between Norway and Ireland that a lot of people don't know about. I'm just going to call it the Norwegian orgy, because it's like all of their culture was all over. People are like, oh, the Vikings destroyed that. No. Believe me, it didn't stop there. At one point, the entire High King of Ireland was just pure Norwegian Viking blood. Like, I did the genealogy and I went, these are Vikings. These aren't even Irishmen. These are Vikings. Why are the High Kings of Ireland all Vikings? That's funny. But that is how integrated the cultures became. The Irish and the Norwegian culture are so tightly integrated that their myths are literally the brother and sister of each other. Ireland and Norway are siblings. You guys have no idea how much. So when you step down into ancient Greek, you could say that ancient Greek and Ireland, they do. Ireland and ancient Greek have a relationship happening. There's like a whole thing there. Then that's what it comes down to. There's like this Irish ancient Greek thing happening. There's this Irish Norway happening thing. So when you take a step back from all of that and you look at how the language, the education changes, and it's amazing. From there, you see how art is. You see how the music changes. It's because it all is a mirror of the culture. The culture is the summation of the educational system. So you get educational system, and then that grows into and becomes culture, which then grows and becomes all of the different disintegrated components that make up all of the culture. The people are just the vessels. The people are the vessels of that educational system culture. It's one of the reasons why I would scream all the time about how I had no culture. And my family would be like, yeah, we do. We have white culture. That's not a fucking culture. It is not a culture. It is not a culture. There is no art. Like you can go to the African American Museum of Art and see their culture. You can hear their music. Oh my God, you can see them dance. They have a fucking culture. So I'm looking at them going, you guys, by the way, you guys, the most fucking sick, amazing culture. It's like one of my favorite cultures is African culture. It's just, African American culture is so fucking amazing. I love it. So that being said, you've got this gorgeous, rich culture. And then I'm looking at the Latino cultures. Oh my God. I have a small addiction to the Latino culture. Just saying. Like really, really not that small at all. It's massive. I love Latino culture. So I'm looking at it. In fact, I am called Latino Corazon. Like it's that bad. That's one of my nicknames is Latino Corazon. So I'm sitting here looking at it going, okay, all right, we got a thing over there. That's it. And I love it. As soon as I say it, and my brain just, oh my God, I love it. Okay, I got to focus again. They have this fucking gorgeous, beautiful culture. You look at Ireland. Every single one of these people has an educational system. Rome didn't. Rome did not put out music. Rome did not put out art. The Greeks did. Rome did not put out architecture. Vitruvius was a Greek. He built Rome. Rome did not have a culture. Why? Because it was a war culture. The culture of Rome was war. That's all it was. The culture of Rome is war. Did you hear what I'm saying? The Greeks, okay, the Greeks had war. The Greeks totally had war. I mean, we know that. We know that. They warred over love and beauty and art. But they did too. Think about it. We want your land. That's Rome. Greeks, oh, Helen of Troy. Do I have to get any further? Like Helen of Troy. Thank you, Trojan War. 20 years over how hot this chick is. Yeah, that's what they warred over. You just gotta love it. Come on, it's named Rome. Do you know the story of Romulus? He killed his brother. You know what Rome is? It's Cain. Rome bears the mark of Cain. You know, that's really literal. Really literal. Rome bears the mark of Cain. Think, Romulus and Remus, two brothers. There was no Rome. Romulus is the one who invented Rome. He killed his fucking brother. He was Cain. And then he built Rome. So your culture is Cain's culture. Your education system is Cain's culture. And here's the sick thing is, I know people are hearing this and they're thinking shit like, holy fucking shit, that explains everything. Or, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Yes. Because it's true. We are all infected with Cain. I'm not. I'm in the ancient Greek educational system, so I'm good. I did get rid of it. But my fucking God, getting rid of the mark of Cain, it's like the episode of Supernatural when he gets the mark of Cain. I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. God. So when you change the way you talk, when you change what you listen to, you change everything. One of the things I did, this was amazing to me. I love watching Steve Jobs. I watch a lot of Steve Jobs just to hear his voice so I can learn his mind. You want to learn someone, just listen to them talk. You want to become like someone, listen to them talk. I listened to so many. Like, don't worry about manifestation. Just pick who you want to be and listen to their speeches. All you have to do is listen to the speeches of the person who you want to be like, and your brain will do the rest for you. It's extraordinary. Do this exercise. This is an easy fucking exercise for you to do. Pick a role model. Say, I want to be like that person, whether it be wealth, lifestyle, get as close to it as you can, and just watch their YouTube videos. Just listen to them as much as you can. The more you do that, the more you're going to change your mind all on your own. How much time do you need? I don't know. It's like learning a language. It is exactly like learning a new language. So if you're just listening to the way they speak, if you're just around it, it's going to completely change the way you are into exactly whatever it is you want to be. Now, here's the problem. If you walk away from that person and you expose yourself to other people, that's going to teach that language into it. And as long as you've got the two of them, you're going to have a blend. So if you have someone around you who is speaking the narcissist language, it's not going to work. And this is really what this comes down to, is it doesn't matter if you are or are not a narcissist. If you are speaking the language, you are. The language is what defines you. The language is what defines you. Our brains were hardwired for this. This is how we learn. This is how we learn. It's our brains just absorb it. I'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh my God, I can feel my neurons firing. Yes, that's right. You're learning. You're learning. That is what learning feels like. It's when you feel your brain come alive and it's buzzing. You talk about your emotions all the time. What's your brain doing? Can you feel your brain? I can feel my brain. I feel my brain all the time, every day, always. I never stop feeling my brain. I can feel when I fall in love. I can feel when I fall out of love. I remember when that happened. I fell out of love with someone literally instantaneously. I know how to do that to my brain if I want to. I question whether or not it's actually love. And I don't think it is. No, it's not. It is not. It is part of the delusion. So I know how to break it in an instant. And then it completely rewires. And there is a chemical that's released. And oh my God, it felt like a hot shard. It just felt like a hot shard. And I was like, what the fuck is that thing? And he was like, well, that's the chemical reaction, but you shouldn't be feeling that. And that was a chemist who said that to me. That was an organic chemist who said that to me. Okay. That wasn't just anybody. That was like an organic chemist said that to me. He's like, well, that would be the hormones shifting inside of your brain due to ABC, but you should not be feeling that. And I'm going, oh yeah, no, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I feel everything in my brain. Every time my little brain pumps and secretes stuff, I'm going, yep, I can feel it. And I can just feel it sloshing. So are you feeling your brain? Are you feeling it? It started for me right here. I had severe heat right here. That was extraordinarily painful. That was when I was 8 years old. And that lasted for about 2 years. It was excruciating. It took me decades to realize that this was the expansion and the growing of my cognitive core as I was exercising it and turning my brain on. That was the year 1988. My dumb fuck parents thought I had eye strain, so they got me glasses to read. I complained about headaches all the time. It had nothing to do with my eyesight. It had to do with this. Severe pain. Like, I cannot tell you. I haven't felt it there in a very long time. Now I feel it mostly in the back of my head and like right all the way back. I would love to get some equipment hooked up in my brain. I'd be sitting there going, wow, it's amazing, Dad. I'm sitting there on my... That is what I would be doing. I cannot wait. Maybe I'll buy my own equipment for my own brain scans. I would love that. Oh, I would have a real lab. It would make me so happy. I'm going to have a real lab. I'm going to have a real lab. Wow. That makes me so happy. One of the things that I have planned for the healing garden is humane and ethical science. It is medicines, everything you can possibly think of, without any animal testing, all of it. I'm building this whole concept of ethical science, basically, highly ethical science. I'm so fucking excited for that project. I need to name this project. I don't have a name for that project yet. Ethical science. Ethical experiments. I think I like that better. Ethical experiments. So that's one of the projects that I'm building is ethical experiments, where scientists can be scientists, researchers, but they are held to a high, strict ethical code. So that, because you don't touch my fucking work. And this is really important because I have dragons coming. So I'm sitting here going, yeah, we're going to be really fucking strict about this. So my ethical standards for ethical experiments are going to be through the fucking roof. Like, if anyone can surpass me, fucking fantastic. So I'm going to say this. Whoever comes up with the highest ethical standard is the new standard. Whoever gets to the ethical standard is the only ethical standard. You give me somebody who's more ethical than I am, and I will bow to them and kiss their boots. You in charge. Absolutely. Beat me. Pass me. I dare ya. Do it. Oh, yeah. Do it. Get smarter than me. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm the standard. I'm the standard. Beat me. Try. It's Olympics. It's brain Olympics. That's what we're doing here. Brain Olympics. That's what I'm doing. I am doing mind Olympics. Mental Olympics. I am totally doing it, guys. We have the sports. We're going to do the brain Olympics at Alexandria. That's right. Brain Olympics. Come on. Beat me. I dare ya. Oh, I'm so excited. Try to outlogicize me. We'll start you there. No, don't wait. Hold on a minute. Wait. No. You see, for you, you're having a good time and you're fucking around. For me, I have to hold Joanna up. So no, that's not allowed. I will not be participating in the outlogicize. No, I can't do that. That compromises her. I have a fortress of logic around Joanna. You should see the fortress of logic around Joanna. It all starts there. This is love, everybody. This is love. And then I put it down, and this is self-love. This is what Joanna did for me. This proves ABC, we're good, and then Joanna. So if you touch that logical code, everything henceforth unravels. But I've ran through it 3 times and I haven't found a logical fallacy. And if they do find a logical fallacy, then it would actually help you correct the logical fallacy. So you would actually have more perfected. Yes, this is true. And you've already been around the logic multiple times with Joanna. You know she's safe. I know she's safe. So this is called faith in proof. Yes. All right, I'll do the logistics. I feel like I'm risking her. But wouldn't you want to strengthen what she has? I do want to strengthen what she has. If it were false, then I already would have found I would not be able to hold what I'm holding. If it were false, it would not be able to hold what I am holding. If it were false, I would not be able to do what I am. If it were false, it would not be this pure. If it were false, I could not manifest the shit out of all of this, which is what, no, this is not false. Yes, I take the challenge. I would do this logically. Yes, I would participate in the logical Olympics. That's right. So I'm going to create the Olympic Games. I am the standard. Let's see if you guys can do it. There you go. Now I'm excited. Yes, we got something going. The Olympic Games. So we're going to do it in June. We're going to do this every fucking year, or maybe every 2 years, maybe 4. I don't know yet. But I'm so excited. 3s. It has to be 3s. I'm so excited. And we'll have the 5 rings. Oh, yes, the Olympic Greens. It'll be the Mind Olympics, the Mental Olympics. Come at me, guys. Come on. Oh, I'm so excited. So that's going to be another project I work on, is the Mental Olympics. Yeah. So mental Olympics are happening. We're doing the awesome thing that we're doing. And I'm looking over at the ethical science experiments. And I'm going, oh, yeah. So whoever wins the Olympic Games is the new standard. That is the rule. The new standard is whoever can set the Olympic Games. Why did this take so long to get here? Because Rome declared war on them. They lived during the Roman Empire. They never could develop it beyond what they did because they entered a state of war with Rome. And that stopped them from learning, changed them over to surviving until it fell apart. That makes me so sad. So they never even got to the point where they made mental Olympics. And I can feel it. I can see all of history now where we had the Olympics and it was raising the bar, setting the standard on physique, on sports. Why aren't we doing this with the mind? So I'm doing it. I am officially going to be instating, because this has not been, can I finally say the word invented? Can I finally say the word invented? I invented this. See, I don't get to say the word invented very often. You have to say discovered. Discovery is not invention. Tesla invented. He discovered Wi-Fi. Okay, he invented Wi-Fi, but he discovered all of the science for Wi-Fi. The science was not made by him. He just translated it on what was already there. He did not write the code. You get to translate the code, and then you get to write the code. Translating the code is what scientists do. Prophets invent the code. They invent the code. That's where things got really confusing. Because as soon as the scientist came along, the Christian church had to admit that the prophets were really gods. So they changed up the hierarchy, which is why they invented hierarchy. So they could fuck this up. Well, there's a hierarchy there. Yeah. So it's God and then man. But they changed it. So they added prophet, which was really God. And the prophets could write the code. Why did Moses come down so soon? Did he just prematurely come down? Because he only came down after 10 commandments. And I'm going, no, dude, there are 12. And it just fucking occurred to me that he did not meditate long enough. Moses cut the fucking corners. He made it to the 10th with emotional fluidity. He came down and he said, I got the 10 commandments. I got it all figured out. And he didn't finish the fucking work. And this is the best part. Mel Brooks comes along and he goes, these are the 15 crash 10 commandments. And he knew it. He felt it. He's going, oh no, there's more there. Look at this place. There's got to be more here. That's what happens when you take out forgiveness and logic. Moses did not complete the 12 ethics, so he never put forgiveness and logic in. Christ came in and said, forgiveness, everyone, forgiveness is the 12th. Don't judge people. But he didn't say logic. Why didn't anyone? Why did no one reverse engineer logic? Give me a minute, guys. Got to think about this one. guess that would be a proof. A proof would reverse engineer it. A proof is the reversal engineering. That's the reversal engineering of linguistics, and that's what, because you can't reverse engineering. Logic is the beginning and the end. It is the beginning and the end. No matter how many times I ravel this around, it is growth. It is growth itself. And because we don't have this mental Olympics with this massive aspiration, you know what? I think I'm going to do, every 4 years? So they're on a rotation of 4 and 4. So if I do, I can see it almost. All right, what year are the Winter Olympics? I just got to say, I'm not going to do this. No, I'm not looking up these answers. You know why I'm not looking up these answers? Because I know enough fucking math to just do the fucking math. The year is currently 2024, and we are in the middle of summer. Therefore, 2024 is when they do the Summer Olympics, which means I can safely say that in the year 2028, we're going to be doing the Winter Olympics. Oh my God, I think I got this down. All right, now 2024, which means that what I would do, that was almost embarrassing for me. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? So 2020 is when we did the Winter Olympics. All right. So now all right. So what I would want then is 2. So 2026. And then the next one would be 28, 2030. There were 3. So you have the Summer Olympics in 2024. And then you have in 2026, the Mental Olympics. And then in 2028, 2, 2, and then 2. So there would be a rotation of every 2 years. There will be Olympics. You know, that feels so, I could feel it. Every goddamn time there was an Olympic game, I'm like, it's off. It's off. The math is off. You have no idea how much it was screaming at me. The math is off. It drove me nuts. I always felt like there was a gap between why 4 years? Why 4 years? I don't understand. That's mathematically not logical. It drove me insane. I don't even remember. God, I was 6, 8. God, maybe about 10. Oh, I was young when I first felt it. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, God. All right. That feels so much better. So that's the Summer Olympics, and then the Mental Olympics, and then the Winter Olympics. And then the Mental Olympics. Yes, there's the 3. Now it fixed the spiral. Now we got the spiral. You can't have a spiral if you just have 2. You'll see it. You're going to feel it, and you're going to be like, oh my God, Anna turned on the planet. I did. That's how we connect, is through the Olympics. That's why they did the Olympics. The Greeks did the Olympics. But the Romans were so stupid that they never bothered with the... No. Something is missing. I found another logical loop. Just gonna figure out this. 776 BC. Olympia. 4 years for 12 centuries until 393 AD, when they destroyed Alexandria. Those fuckers. This is where I get angry, because it's so fucking obvious to me and none of you figured it out. Alexandria was destroyed in 380 CE. The Olympics ended in 393 AD. And I'm mad at my teachers. In 393 AD, the Olympic Games were also taken away. Now they were put back. Oh, when did we start back up again? Was in the 40s or 50s? In 1896, they brought them back in Athens. Why did the Olympics stop almost 1,600 years ago, and when did they start again? In AD 393, Emperor Theodosius I, a Christian, called for a ban on all pagan festivals, ending the ancient Olympic tradition after nearly 12 centuries. It would be another 1,500 years before the Games would rise again, largely thanks to the efforts of Baron Pierre de Coubertin, 1863 to 1937. So the question is, see, here's what I'm thinking is, why did we miss this? Why did I miss this? Why did we all miss this? How can we not see this really blaring, obvious fact? Because we did not have the 12 ethics. That's why. That explains it. I feel so much better. This is why you cannot forget the 12 ethics. When you forget the 12 ethics, the math doesn't make sense. A series of athletic competitions among representatives of city-states in honor of Zeus. 4 years, Olympiad. I have never studied the Greek calendar. That's very odd for me. I've studied the Roman calendars. I've studied all the calendars. I have studied every calendar except the Greek calendar. Why the fuck didn't I do that? I have to study it. That's so weird of me to miss that. I'm finding logical fallacy in my own past. God, I love it when I do that. So ancient Greek calendar, that's on my list now to study. Because I'm reviving their Greek culture. Because their entire culture was education. You need to understand, this is what I'm trying to tell you. Their entire culture was education. Rome was just pure. Education is love. Education is love. And that's just it. It is. That's nourishment. It's just pure nourishment. And the more you study the ancient Greek culture, the more you realize, dudes, like Euclid, Pythagoras, this was the norm. It was normal to graduate with such mastery that you go, I'm going to create my own government now, my entire system, and build a school. And the schools competed with each other in the Olympic Games. See, there you go. See, there it is. But they destroyed Athens. The Olympics are not sports, guys. It's teaching the 12 ethics. It is literally practicing the 12 ethics. Every 4 years, it was a way to literally nurture the entire culture through the actual seed of education, competition, to strive for a better ethical standard. It was literally, it wasn't just, look at the manners, look at the expectations of the Olympics. You are representing your people. The people who are selected are not just there for their physical discipline, it's their mental discipline. You don't get to be a master on that level unless you are fucking mastered. Which means their minds. We took the greatest people in the world, our Olympians, and we put them on this platform where they literally just generate and generate juice. But 4 years is not enough. 4 years was never enough. And you're not exercising all of it. So which parts are you missing? Winter game, summer game, speed, strength. Wisdom. You are measuring speed, you're measuring strength, and you're measuring wisdom. Do you know what that means? That means you are training soldiers. It means you were training for war. Survival? They weren't their Olympians. They were their warriors. Wisdom. Leaders, not warriors. Leaders. The Olympians were how they trained their leaders in speed, strength, and wisdom. But and I'm seeing it now. It's making sense now. Baron Pierre de Coubertin, 1863, he was raised under a Roman educational system. So he did not know that the math was wrong. He did not know that this was for speed, strength, and wisdom. He did not know. He did the best he could. Now, the fact that he accomplished something magnificent, such as building and reinstating the Olympics after a 1,600-year absence, guys, that dude's a genius. But he didn't have the 12 ethics. If he did, he would have seen that it was imbalanced and missing another one. Speed, strength, and wisdom. It was literally a leadership school. Leadership school. It's literally nurturing your entire culture. And it wasn't just that. And I've seen this in schools. This is probably, no, the only fucking thing schools did right was this. Is every Olympic year in the winter, we would like participate. We would have our own school Olympics. I saw this on MASH where they had their own. And it's about striving for that new ethical standard. It's raising the fucking bar. And to not have it in a culture, we would never push ourselves to the next, not for the sake of competition with each other, but for the standard. It was the chasing of the standard, the raising of the bar. This is quality over and over again. It was a value for the ethical standard. It's why it is the rule. It defines the rule. Your Olympic Games are your rule. So yeah, that's what this is. You want to know everything you need to know about the 12 ethics? Look at that goddamn fucking Olympic Games that we have. We have all 5 of us coming together like people. My God, why are we only doing this for? This doesn't make any sense. So in 2006, we are going to be hosting the first Mental Olympics. Come at me. I will be tested. I will be tested. This is going to be fucking grueling. I don't want to do it. It would be something horrible like quote, the entire logical code of the universe. And I could do it, but my God, is it so fucking exhausting. Oh, and I would have these, oh, that would be so much easier if I didn't have to translate it. If I could just feel it and they could just go through it and then just read it from my mind. Oh, please, I will have ESP by then. I will have ESP by then. So that'll be a lot easier. You guys need to invent ESP readers. Get on that. We're going to need those. Because I am not going to be, it's when I go into that state, I can't, I'm in the abstract. Like I need a megaphone to, oh, she's in the abstract. You know what I see? I see us taking our little ESP codes, putting it on catatonic people. And then I have a device that reads their brains, processes it all through and goes, this is the logical code they need. And you just feed them the logical code and boop, it unlocks them. And I got the science for that. I know how to do it. So I'm just, I just removed this little thing and it just waterfalled and I could see it all. We could literally put this on every single human being in the world. And it would just remove your logical fallacies with one. You just need one. You just need one. You only need one logical fallacy fixed. It's the very first one. You find your first logical fallacy, everything else corrects itself because it invalidates everything else. It immediately will invalidate all of the other ones. So what you want to do is find your first logical fallacy. That is absolutely what we are doing. You find your first logical fallacy and the whole thing is set. You're done. You do not need any more. All you need is the regulation, but everything will do, it'll literally be natural. And you've got one branch. You've got a tree in your radiator. You've got a tree in your radiator. That's your problem. You got to get your tree out of your radiator. So I can see it. Like I'm looking to the Olympics. So all right, let me try and translate what I'm looking at out of my mind. So you've got hundreds of people all standing around for this particular event. You've got, oh my God, chess would have to be, all right, focus on it. I have certain things when I say them, my brain goes nuts and chess is one of them. So give me a minute. Okay. You have all of these people who are supercharged on the 12 ethics coming together either in support of feeding that energy while also performing and achieving and striving and pushing for that ethical standard. And every one of us across the globe tunes into that energy and we pump it and we feel it because it's us. It's the Olympics, guys. We are united. Why are we only doing this once every 4 years? It's the only time in the world where we are united. And it's in the middle. They're talking about war. And we are still here together, competing in the Olympics. We already have everything we need right here. We already are doing it. I need to talk to somebody in the Olympics because they got it all figured out. And we already have a role model. We already have an example. You look at the Olympics and you go, that's Greek. That's Greek. Everything else is Rome. That's Greek. It's love. It's striving for the best. It's coming together in love. It's saying there's a war on, but right now we got to go play at the Olympics. And you know what? There's someone there from Russia and there's someone there from Ukraine. And they found the Greek in them. I have met so many Russians over the last 2 years who are like, I'm for Ukraine. And I'm like, I know you guys are. I know you guys are. It's really sad. We have a beautiful, positive thing that's just so gorgeous already in place, and we're not using it. We're not processing that it's about the ethical standard. We're just, oh, the ethics are here. Dudes, this is our Christmas. This is our Christmas. You know how you have Christmas with your mom and dad and family every year? Well, this is ours. It's the Olympics. And we're not at all attending the dinner. It's not about the sport. It's about what are the new standards going to be. Would someone please beat Michael Phelps? Because that man is just like, come on, anyone, try to challenge me. Like, I know exactly how you feel, Michael. I think like that man swims. Only he's actually got competition. Come on, guys, bring it. Please, humble my ass. Please. Now that's interesting. If you're begging for humiliation, oh no, that would make me a silly little bitch. Maybe I want to be a switch at heart, but I just can't be a switch because there's no one who's good enough to dominate except him. I know, but we don't want to talk about him right now. I am fully conscious. I just love doing this because it takes me back. I used to talk to them all the time. My alters. It was really annoying before I knew they were there. When I could hear them talking, they would have conversations about me right in front of me. It was so fucking rude. Oh, they did that all the time. They had conversations about me right in front of me, like I'm listening, guys. And then they'd wave their magic wand, and my memory would just slate. No one was talking. That's how they do it. She can't know about this. I know. We'll get through it. Who are you guys? And then I go through the therapy. We do the whole thing. I didn't. They did. That's their memory. Berg and Colin came in. They did the whole thing on themselves. And then I walk out and I'm back to being Joanna. La, 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 la. And I'm going, what just happened? And I could hear them. They would say things like, do you think they got? No, they had no idea. We fooled them. Oh, right. And I'm going, who are you guys? Okay. La, la. Yeah, this is what it was like. That is what it's like having multiple personality. You can hear them having conversations about you, plotting right in your head. They plotted against me right in front of me. And I have memory of them wiping my memory. I'm angry at myself. I never got angry at them for what they did to me. I was just so happy. I know they did what they had to do. And I know they did their best. This is self-forgiveness. This is what it looks like. There is no Olympics for intelligence. There's no standard. How does a basketball player know he's good? How does somebody who skis know they're good? How does somebody who swims know they're good? How does Michael Phelps know he's good at swimming? because he's the best. There is no one better than him. So now when you go to swim, because I know I did this, and you're comparing yourself to Michael Phelps, or are you comparing yourself to the kiddie pool? Come on. You see what I mean? Stupid compares. I'm a good swimmer, says the 45-year-old man, in comparison to the 2-year-old with a floaty device. That's just stupid. Or you compare up. You go up. When you go up and you find the smartest person in the room, that's your standard. But how do you measure intelligence? All we got is that really stupid. What the fuck? Who came up with that shit? Roman. I always wanted to know what was the difference between wisdom and knowledge, information, education, intelligence. I wanted to know. Well, yes, dear. Oh. Well, my notebooks are all over there. So it's really a. You're just setting the standard. My standards were Victor Hugo, Shakespeare. Oh, Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes was my logic standard. You want to know who my logical standard was? Sherlock Holmes. Fuck that shit. Yeah, that's right. He was my logical standard. This is how I did it, guys. This is really fucking important. I set Sherlock Holmes as my logical standard. And yes, when I watch Sherlock Holmes, I check him for logical fallacy. Because I know I'm really checking the writer of the shows for logical fallacy. Oh, Stephen Moffat, I'm onto you. That man knows the stuff I know. Stephen Moffat knows a lot of the shit I know. Stephen Moffat also knew. Did he know? Douglas Adams. No. They just worked for the same company. Something's there. I'm going to go dig later. Sherlock Holmes. And then there is E.B. White. He was my role model for simplicity. I didn't have one role model. I had role models for every skill I wanted, and then I plugged them in and I matched it up. Tolkien was my model linguist. I chose him for his logical standard, or for his linguistic standards. If you can invent and write 7 new languages, you know you're fucking shit. Plato was my teacher, role model. Plato was really mean when it came to humiliation, I just gotta say. He used logic to prove how stupid I was. When you're humbled by Plato, you don't have a fucking clue. He humbled me. That is what a teacher's job is, to just humble the student to learn. You just get out of the way after that. You're there to keep their ego in check. That's really what teaching is. But you can't do that unless you have a standard to point to. So where's your standards and everything? Music, Juilliard. Oh, I remember that. Juilliard was my musical standard. Robin Williams. He was my improviser. Improv standard. Oh, he was. He was my improv. I watched him and I'm like, study him. And I'm studying. You just believe me. I'm so of that man. His ability to improv. I'm like, I want to be just like Robin Williams when it comes to improv. No one can improv better than that. That's what I want. So I'd like, oh my God, I absorbed that man's brain. And the best part is I had already studied music at Juilliard. So I'm like, I got the rest. Just give me a minute. Here's the thing. Robin Williams went to school at Juilliard. So every time I surrounded myself with his gorgeous voice and beautifulness, that everything was he, I literally absorbed the concept of Juilliard right into my brain while I studied their curriculum, which matched Plato's curriculum. So I did Plato, and then I switched over to Juilliard. Yeah, Plato and Juilliard. That's where I went to school. This is a combination of Plato and Juilliard. And then I stepped back and went, whoa, they're the same. Now, I know too much about shit to know that those fucking match, because it's the same pattern as the 12 ethics. So the more I learn anything off of the Greek educational system, the more everything from that culture makes sense. The more I can look at the culture as if I were a citizen and go, wait a minute, what happened to this? Why isn't the math adding up? It's not logical. And suddenly I can plug shit in, like the fact that there was an Olympic missing from, like, what are you guys doing? That just made no sense to me. 3, guys, 3, always 3, never 2. You can't get anything with 2. You need 3. That's how you have balance. So we're going to fix the Olympic Games and then everything will be okay. I am quite literal about that. So we are going to start a mental Olympics. The first year is going to be 2026. We're going to go ahead and have registration so you can join. Yeah, we're going to do registration. I think if I just do it the 1 year and set the standard and then just have other people try and beat it, and they can compete to try and beat my standard. I think that's it. What I'm going to look forward to is the parts where I lose. Oh my God, that'll be amazing. God, that would be amazing. So it would be under mental diversification. This is what it would be. Mental diversification. I would have to be weighed on logic skills. Rule number 1 in science, if you can't measure it, it's invalid. Oh, you have no idea the amount of, oh, you have no fucking idea. The day I figured out the frequencies and I was able to find a frequency and a rate and I was able to do mathematical measurement calculations based off of a point of origin, and I went, oh my God, I can measure this. Boom, it's fact. As soon as you can measure something, you got it. Oh, you have no idea that day. Oh, it was everything came, everything. That was the day. You have no idea, dudes. No fucking idea. Wow. The day I could measure my actual growth. When I found that formula, I was just, oh, I remember that day. It's on my YouTube somewhere where I'm screaming, I found it. I can measure this. Like, you have no idea. It is theory until you can measure it. The minute you can measure it, fact. When I did my work, I found out that I could not just measure it one way because of what my work was. I could measure all of my work in every way. How do I translate this for you guys? I could see. Imagine you have a toolbox and you have a wrench, you have a hammer, you have all of these things. And you can only have one utensil your entire life. Everybody in Rome would look at all of the wrenches and they would all choose. But someone in Greece would look at everything, integrate it into one utensil, and then use that one utensil. That is the difference between the Roman mind and the Greek mind. That is exactly the Greek mind. So now, a scientist will say, you can only measure energy in joules. And a mathematician would say, you can only measure length with integers. And a logician would say, you can only measure truth in balance. But the ancient Greek mind would step back from all of that, integrate it into the 12 ethics and go, you can measure everything off of the 12 ethics. Everything. So when I got the 12 ethics and it plugged it all in and I could measure the 12 ethics, guess what measures the 12 ethics? Everything. So when I look at something, I can see math proving it. I can see physics proving it. I can see music proving it. I can see painting proving it. I can see ontology and time and truth and all of the sciences, all of the arts, all of the academic disciplines, all say yes. It is the universal language of measurement. So when I found a way to measure the 12 ethics, I didn't find a way to measure the 12 ethics. I found all the ways to measure the 12 ethics. So every time I make a calculation in my mind, I am using all measurements. So when you have a logical fallacy come in, I can cross-check it on math, science, physics, music, art, dance, interpretation, language, linguistics, history, and yeah, it checks out. So that's my checks and balances. I use all of the academic disciplines to validate the truth of my work because I know how to do that and measure all of them. So instead of using only math and I have to prove it 3 different ways, I can use all of the academic disciplines, prove it all of the ways simultaneously and go, yes, this is true. There is no name for what this is yet. I have no name yet for this skill, but this is a skill. I haven't named it yet. I should call this the Anna's algorithm. This is Anna's algorithm. This is it right here. This is Anna's algorithm. I got nothing else here for you guys. We're in the Anna section, Anna, so that as we go through all of this, I'm so sick of naming shit. You guys want to name something? You guys can name something. I would love some recommendations because I have already dedicated so much to Pythagoras, to Plato, to loved ones. I got shit named after shit in my stuff here. And I'm at a point where I'm like, I'm so bored with it. So if you want to name one of my weird invention discovery things, I'm taking suggestions. And at this point, they can be as silly, nerdy, goofy, and childish as you can imagine. I will take them, please, because I'm at a point where I'm just like, I'm out of ideas. So there's that. Yeah, I am so fucking sick of it. I'll have to take the best one that amuses me. Like I'm at a point where I'm ready to start making dirty jokes inside of them. So that like poo, I really envy poo. Point of origin, poo. I'm like, thank you guys. So I'm sitting here on my formula writing poo, and I'm like, some fucking scientist did that. I know that. I know that kind of humor because that's the way we think. And I'm just imagining the mental Olympics. And I can feel that energy from my imagination. And I'm feeling it right now. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing, guys. And I just want to push it out there like, that's it. That's it. That's it. This feels so good. Feel that juice. God, I love the Olympics. Oh my God, I love the Olympics. It's amazing. The more I studied ancient Greeks, the more it turned my brain ancient Greek. And I'm like, this is amazing. This is so fucking cool. Yours is war. The Roman educational system is just war. I don't like it at all. War and peace. Like it's so interesting. I gotta read Tolstoy. I really gotta read Tolstoy. So I don't know. I was covering romance. Greek ants. We call it Greek ants. Oh yes, that's what I'm calling it. Fuck romance. I practice Greek ants. That's right, Greek ants. So that's what I'm calling it from now on, because that just feels so much better. Greek ants. They had 6 words for love, but they weren't words. They had 6 mindsets for love. They only made it to the 6th ethic, which means there are going to be a total of 12 types of love. Now, this I'm excited about. And then I saw the kind of relationship and the problem. And this is really going to be hard for a lot of people. You have to do this 36 times. You're going to change 36 times. I was in the 31st ethical perspective before I felt ready. Before I felt ready enough to be in a relationship. I was at the 29th ethic before I felt like I was good enough to be a parent. The feeling of parenting came before Greek ants, before love. And a lot of you are 2, 3, and 4th ethic. Now, here's a couple problems with this. If you are 2 or 3 and your partner is 7, they're going to grow and you aren't. Eventually, the 7th ethic will literally see time 2 years before the spouse who's 2 or 3 will. And that's going to start a massive gap until the 7th is so close to the truth. And they are so far away from their spouse now that they can't even communicate. You're going to lose communication skills. It's going to become the Tower of Babel. And your partner might not grow. Ever. But you have to. And you have to watch them get too far away that they just dissolve. But you've got to keep growing. And you can't stop growing. Now, some of you are going to experience an unusually strong bond. And you are not going to understand this bond, and it's going to be weird. It's going to be the feeling like you are bonded. And no matter what happens, you can't break that string. That would be, you've bonded. I don't have a word for it. I call it bonding. It happens at the point of comprehension. However, that does not mean you are actually at the point of comprehension. It means that that's when it will solidify. So it's like you have found your bonded partner before you both can bond. I'm going to say that again. You can find your bonded partner long before you can bond. You're actually not bonded until you are both at the point of comprehension and you both get to make the vow. There's a vow. It's really fucking cool. You make the vow, and that's when it binds you. You cannot do this anywhere else. And you might get there and you are ready to say the vow and they're not. They're still all the way back at the 2. And you're going to get to a point where you have to decide, I can't. See, I can't do it. I can't let him go. I'm already bonded to him. And this is loyalty. But it can never be above truth or growth. You have to love more than you love your partner. This is going to sound weird, but you have to love more than you love your partner. You can never love your partner more than love. That's not going to work. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? This is the world's largest logical fallacy, and it's the one that's going to fix everything. This is why we are all stuck. You cannot love anything more than love. Love has to be first. This is what it means by God is present, God is first, because love has to be here. In logic, if you love your partner more than love, then you stop loving, the partner ceases to exist, and the whole thing falls apart. You can never love more than anything. This is so fucking weird, but it's true. So, love is first, truth and growth. Well, love is growth, so. And then truth. And then you can have your partner. And that is the right hierarchy. That is the only hierarchy. That is the hierarchy. Love, growth, truth, and then your partner. Don't ever fucking put love, growth, and truth anywhere else but the top. Those are the standards, which are the ethics. So it's also logic. Like I said, love, growth, truth, which is learning. It's all there. That must come first. So let's go through this. You're at the point of comprehension. Your partner is all the way back at the second ethic. They may or they may not come. And you may or you may not be able to sever the bond. You just can't. You can't sever it because it is you at that point. And here's the thing is there's no emotion in this process. If you're feeling emotion, then you're not feeling the right thing. There's zero emotion in this. Zero emotion. There is no euphoria. There is no bloody, like the what is it called? The rush, the butterfly feelings. Like I said, I'm Greek, so I'm struggling with what you guys call it. Blushing, that's what you guys call it. The butterflies and the blushing, there is none of that. But you can still feel the bond. You could almost be completely indifferent, but boy, can you feel the bond. But if you can't even shut your emotions down and tell them to go away and take care of them so they nourish themselves and leave, you're not going to have any idea the difference between an emotion and a feeling. So these are all of the battles you're going to have along the journey. You know, I think that's it. I'm supposed to sit here and tell you what you can expect in the pilgrimage. You've never heard it. You've only heard what the dipshits have told you back at the 6th. Don't listen to them. They're dipshits. They haven't even started the journey. It's like they got to Mount Everest and then they built a tent, went inside of it, started make-believing that they were at Everest and never even completed the shopping. That is exactly what that is. And you know it intuitively through the whole process that the more you grow, the further away from your partner you're going to get until not even communication can hold you together. So then the only solution at that point is an ESP bond. So you can always communicate no matter where you go. And that is why they are the one who you bond with to get an ESP connection. So that while you're going through the 12 stages of growth and then the 36 stages, wherever you go, you will be able to communicate with the one. But here's the catch to this. Sometimes you're monogamous, and sometimes you're celibate, and sometimes you're polyamorous. And that is an eternal rotation that never stops. And you are not going to align with your partner all the time. You want to know what love is? Love is loving love, growth, and truth more than your partner. That now there's this rotation, and until we are synchronized in growing pace, if that can happen, and I don't know yet, I'm not there yet. This is my lesson. This is where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out if my partner is going to ever speed up and heal and catch up to me, or if I'm just going to sound more and more like an alien while he's down there because he can't get over a logical fallacy that fucked him up when he was 2 years old. And now I'm speaking babble to the love of my life. Now, here's the question. When he removes the logical fallacy and it snowballs and just goes right to the end, will he immediately wake up and he's here with me, or is he going to be better than me, like more advanced on the ethical standard? I think he's going to be more advanced on the ethical standard. But then will he grow alongside me? Will we keep pace? The mathematics says yes. But until then, he might have to go through all of the things first. I don't know. Yes, I do. I had to go through every single one of them. He's going to have to go through every single one of them because it's the subconscious mind that has to grow up. So when you release it at age 2 and you get that waterfall effect, you're going to have to go through 3 years old and a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. You're going to hit 15 years old again. And then 20, 22, 23. You're going to go through all of them. That's why some people act like they're 15. It's because the subconscious mind got stuck at a certain age and stays there. So then your subconscious mind has to live the ages that you didn't live the first time. You lived them with your body, but your subconscious mind never lived them. So then your subconscious mind is going to have to live them, and it's taking your conscious awareness of your body along for the ride. Oh yeah, I walked away with 2 tattoos and a navel ring. Fuck that shit. That's right, I did. I got tattoos, I got navels, I got 3 additional piercings. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I loved my walkabout. So much fun. So much fun. So there's the question of, am I going to grow on and leave my partner behind? Are we going to bond? Or are we going to break? Are we going to break, bond, or so that's where you sit. And this is part of it. This is part of the pilgrimage. This is part of the journey. I never talk about this part of it. It was one part of my journey that I kept I wanted to protect his privacy. So I called him the Imp King, which is what I call him. He used to call me Goddess Queen. Those were our pet names for each other. Oh yeah, we rock it. He called me Goddess Queen and I called him Imp King. So I started to write out a not really fiction, literally explaining all of it, the entire process. So if you have questions about love and any kind of romantic hardships or anything like that, I have a 20-page book called, let me go over to my website. Oh, I have like 3 books I'm writing right now. I'm lying. That's a lie. I have 7 books I'm writing right now. I have four nonfictions. All right. It is called The Imp King and the Goddess Queen. And that is 20 chapters. And then I have the Imagination, the Sentient Story. And I'm currently writing Winter and Ash, but that's also that's just there. So I don't want to talk about it. I mean, there is a whole lot of, I could see all of, this is the logical code. And I just, one component. I'm still working it out. And I've written it all in the book. So there's really not much for me to talk about it here. I don't want to talk about it here, really. As far as what it feels like there's talking about it in story where I'm walking you through it, that's one thing. But then talking about it over here is, so I'll talk about talking about it. So it was it was very much part of the whole journey, is watching your growth happen while your partner doesn't grow. And this is one of those things where it's a conversation. It's a conversation we didn't even know to have. I mean, where do you even begin? So, honey, while I'm turning into a god, I'm going to be going through some changes. And I understand that you will also be going into, you will be changing into a god. So I almost need to do this thing about how to change into a god with your spouse. I think that's what it needs to be. How to become a god. How to become a god with your spouse. How to become a god with your spouse. I'm gonna do this with your spouse. Becoming God. That's what I'm gonna call my book. Becoming God. I want it. That's it. Becoming God. No, that's it. That is what it is. I'm gonna write this book. This is gonna be the other book I'm writing is Becoming God. How to become a god with your spouse. I'm doing it. Fuck that shit. It's gonna be my book. Becoming God. My God. Everything about that book is just the most beautiful thing in the entire fucking world. Becoming God. Oh, I'm starting it right now. Becoming God. Becoming God. And then underneath it, it will be how to become a god with your spouse. There you go. This is going to be my book by Anna Imagination. I'm so happy. Yes. Becoming God. I love it. God, that is so gorgeous. I love writing. How to become a god with your spouse. Yep, that's right. All right, this is great. All right, this is my new book. I'm so happy. Oh, so excited. So excited. See, this is a becoming God. So yeah, it's a conversation you need to have with your spouse. What to do if your muggle spouse does not believe that you are gods. Mine gave me the best response. No, mine knows. No, he has said stuff, and I'm going, dude, you totally know. Thank you, Liz. This is a person who, when I told him, about my magical powers. His response was, okay, yep, all right, that's logical, and I love it. I like, yeah, he knows shit. He knows shit on a level. And I'm like, dude, that's the whole thing. I have it. Jesus, take the wheel. That would be great. Just, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm going to check his grammar, though, because that man could not talk. I will be checking his messages, but he can drive from now on. So I'm going to be talking a lot in the future on how to deal with this with a partner or spouse. I have yet to see... This is really the hardest part of the romance, Greek ants. And it's very much, are you going to stay with your partner through time or not? Do you want to go through time with your partner? There it is. Do you want to go through time with your partner? Because that's what you need to decide. The one you decide to go through time with is the one. And that's it. So when you go through time with your partner, it means you bond with that one person so that no matter where you are in time, you'll be able to always find your way home, because they become the you of I, so they can orient you to where home is. You have where you are, you have your destination. Where's your partner? Where's home? Home is where the heart is. Home is where your partner is. Your partner will point you home. Isn't it amazing how many of our idioms were here? Your partner will point you home. Because they are the one, which is why you cannot have two masters. It wasn't about you being polyamorous or monogamous. It's about whether or not you can let your partner be that way. You might be able to control yourself at any time, but your partner may need to grow when you don't. How much do you love your partner? If you love your partner more than growth, then you don't love your partner at all. This is the kind of question that I have been asking myself ever since the shifts happened and I started to go a long time. And I could feel myself growing and he not. And whenever he talks, I can immediately locate him and orient him in relativity to the truth. So I can immediately measure, okay, where's his growth at? I don't know how to explain it. I can't imagine going through time with anyone else. And I'm asking myself, is this because it's not possible, it's illogical, or is there a logical loop that's preventing me from saying it? And that I don't know. That I don't know. I cannot see anyone else in that role. And I'm sitting here, and this is just, it's, Figuring out what love was the hardest fucking thing to figure out because there was no standard set. And the standards we had, Rome's narcissists ran around accusing everybody of it being toxic. And then slowly we did, as a culture, start to see how toxic it was. And it was amazing to watch all these women pull away from relationships and be quit. Like, no, I'm done. I'm done with them. And I can see it so clearly. And I got to a point where I remember feeling so filthy from even being near the romantic concept. It was just. And then I started to see more and more this Greek concept. And the Roman concept was just toxic narcissism. And the more I studied romance and your world and love and relationships, the more I just saw narcissism. There is no love in your world. And I'm looking at it going, I would find somebody who's really ethical, and then I watch them become possessive over their partner. And I'm just like, no. I saw the formula that every single one of you follows. Bar, drink, talk, date. It was disgusting. You had it down to like 3 different formulas, and I'm like, wow. And when I pulled back and I analyzed it even more, I couldn't even find a single, it was just like business. Your business was also saturated in narcissism. And I'm like, I couldn't go near it. And I'm sitting here looking at my partner going, okay, so I love this man. I have this relationship, and it's, but I couldn't even do relationship without it just feeling, and I got stuck. And I just, it was this massive, what the fuck is going on with the world? And I just needed to understand the logic of it. And once I realized that the insanity was just the Roman mind, it was a war educational system, a war culture that was trying to practice love and nourishment. You can't do that. You can't build a peaceful community off of a war mindset. What the fuck are you doing? When our forefathers decided to build the country, they chose Thomas Hobbes. And I'm going, what the fuck are you doing? They did not even realize that when they were accumulating the education, what they were doing is cherry picking a culture. The thing is, mass accumulated role models for every single thing. When I went through the role model and my archetype for education and learning, I chose the best. You always choose the best. That's why I have Sherlock Holmes as my master in logic. He teaches me logic. So I'm sitting here looking at these people, at everything, and I'm seeing what they can do. And as soon as you start setting that standard, suddenly your education becomes that standard. It meets the standard. So as long as you have someone that defines it, you're set. And I'm sitting here going, well, if we're doing this in the Olympics, where we have the standard defined, why aren't we doing that in education? And of all the people to know this in the world, the educators should know it. But hey, they were educated by Romans. So what do you expect from a Roman? So I'm sitting here looking at it going, no. The only acceptable answer is choose the best. Always choose the best for your ethical standard. And that includes, and is most important, that education not be exempt from that. So you pick the education you want, you cherry pick the role models, and you listen to them as much as you possibly can. Because the more you can listen to them, the more you become them, the more you become what they represent. All of it. And It's all programmed right into our logical code of word and language. It's all done. Your subconscious mind is literally doing the rest. It's beautiful. The Christian religion was manufactured by narcissists, by Rome. The religion Christianity is a weapon. Now, some people have figured out that Christ is not at all the religion. In fact, I saw a quote from a gentleman this morning on Facebook. He is a pastor, and he's the first Christian I've ever actually heard speak like a Christian. He restored my hope and faith in religious people with that man. This man took the Olympics Dionysius banquet, and he said, I am a pastor and I am a follower of Christ. And I am telling you that I am more angry at the anger of the religious people for this display than I am at non-religious people hating you about your religion. And this is why. And he broke it down and explained that a true Christian would welcome everybody to the table. That's fucking right, he would. He would welcome everybody to the table. He's referring to all 12 ethics. All 12 ethics. That was my other problem. Was I'm going just the 6? Just no, I had to talk to all of you, which is why my early videos and however you want to go. And yeah, he would welcome everybody to the table. If you noticed in all of my courses, it'll tell you what skill level they're at, but it doesn't tell you what perspectives are allowed. I never do that. That's dirty. All perspectives. Now, same thing with Honest Playground. I do have, like, you have to meet these requirements. You have to meet, because it's an absolute reward for you growing. It's a reward for you growing. You want to sit at the big table? Grow up. So, if you were to sit at the table in your house during a holiday, not by physical age, but by ethical age, who would be at the kiddie table and who would be at the adult table? Go ahead, Lizzie, you can laugh. She just envisioned it. She knows. And she just envisioned it and she's laughing. Who would sit at the kiddie table no matter how ethically old they are, just because it'd be fucking awesome to sit in those little chairs? I mean, come on. Okay, that'd be totally me. I'm like, I got the kiddie table. Just give me the kiddie table. I want the color. I want the green one. It's the hardest thing to get to a certain point when you realize that you I still have a lot to unravel for the relationship bits. Still a lot. Basically, you're going to have 12 different relationships with your partner. Actually 24. You're going to have 24 different relationships with your partner. I don't know. I'm really frustrated because I'm trying to, like, to me, the whole thing is a Rubik's Cube. It is a world's most giantest Rubik's cube. And it's just like, this is, I'm doing this in my brain. And it's like, I know, right? Where is it? Where's it go? God, love riddles. So I do not want riddles around me. I don't like riddles. I think the reason why I don't like riddles is because they get your brain going, but sometimes they can't be solved. Sometimes there is no solution. Sometimes the solution is subjective. The purpose is to get you thinking. And for me, the concept of an unsolvable riddle is like, what the fuck are you doing to me? Why don't I have the joy of epiphany in my brain? Like, oh. Okay, So there's a riddle in Viva la Bella. Oh, this one's bothering me. And it's the Nazi doctor. And he pulls it's not his friend. He thought it was his friend. But he pulls the main character in a line so he can talk to him. And they're at this dinner and they're forcing the Jew to service them. It's World War II. And when he finally gets alone, he's thinking he's going to be rescued from the Nazi camp. And instead, the doctor pulls him over and he gives him this riddle. He goes, I can't solve it. I know you can solve it. And he gives him the riddle. And he goes, it's a duck, right? And as the Jew realizes he's not going to be rescued from the camp, that the man was too insane to even process his situation, he just shut right down. He just shook his head like, no, that's not the right answer. And he understood, I'm not getting out. And he never told him the answer to the question. And the doctor just keeps repeating it over and over again. The riddle, and he goes back and forth. And I can't solve it. It's driving me nuts. It's been 20 years, and I haven't been able to solve it yet. Oh, it's driving me nuts. And I'm thinking, is there a solution? Is it one of those stupid riddles that it's just insane? There's no logic to it. It's just a catch-22? Or is it like... So yeah, that's so I don't like, ever since then I've hated riddles because I'm like, okay, and there's nowhere you can look it up for the solution. I wonder if I can Google the solution. I just put it away from my head. What is the solution of the riddle in Viva la Bella? No, not obscurity. I can't find it. Oh well, but yeah, it's just. So this is pretty much like understanding this perspective of relationships. It's an entirely different. Well, that's it. Is if you find somebody before around the 31st ethical perspective, then it's something you're going to have to face. Is either your partner is going to have to grow or not. And you cannot expect them to be monogamous through the growth of those 36 stages, because several of those stages is polyamory. Sometimes it's going to be celibacy, and they've got to go through them. Had they gone through them properly in civilization, it wouldn't have been a problem. Or, well, no, none of this would have been a problem. And in addition to that, like there's a lot more that I'm unwrapping, and I just can't. There's a lot more that I'm unwrapping. A lot more. So and then I think that's it. Yeah, so we're setting the standards. Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's always about setting the standards. So it's literally all your skills, every single one of your skills you want. Find somebody who matches them, and you're set. Now, if you find a Renaissance man like Da Vinci, oh my God, I loved using Da Vinci. I used Da Vinci as my model for my Renaissance man. I wanted to be like him. So I went, okay, so all of these skills. And then I'm trying to think, what other standards did I use? Oh, Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is my business standard. That's my like. All right, he knows how to do business, so he's my business standard. So yeah, you have to define your standard on everything. And when you set a role model for the best of the best, you're there. You go. It's all about the quality. And here's the best part: is quality is the difference between when it comes to business. Now you're looking at the quality of A versus B. It's a completely different thing. It's a completely different structure. So, yeah. When you start filling in the standards in your quality, you now have a metric. And that's, by the way, just your ethical metric. That's just, okay, I have defined my standard. And then you're now looking at, so you have to now define your beginning. You ready for this? To define your beginning, you have to know how stupid you are. So you have to use logic to measure between the standard and your current state of stupid. You have to figure out how much work you have to do. So this is where, remember in school, when you had to do X, and that was to benchmark you. That was to establish, that is called a control group, okay? In science, we call this a control group. And this is your point of origin. So that now we can start measuring your growth. It's equivalent to, you want to lose weight. Get on the scale now. You know that humbling feeling when you realize you want to lose weight, but you got to take that first measurement? You take your first measurement and you go, shit, I weigh way too much. Now you've got a benchmark. You know that feeling of humility, of realizing that you've put too much weight on and that you got to do something? That is the mental feeling you want with your brain. It's when you are measuring your scale, you're using the scale of logic to measure the standard. So you've got your standard, and now you're going to measure the standard to your benchmark. But you don't have a bathroom scale to weigh your brain. So you got to define your standard and then measure from point A to X. I am 44 with a 45th ethical standard. This is what 45 sounds like. I'm 44, so I'm doing really good for myself. I'm ahead of me. Woohoo. See, there it is. So now, and this is it right here, is where are you at? Where are you on your ethical standard? For perspective, I am solid on the 12 ethics. I am constantly using them. They are constantly going over in my brain every day, every minute of every day. Courage, self-authority, trust, solid, great, okay. I mean, it's constantly going through. I have an algorithm in my brain that's just running them through on constant repeat. 12 ethics, 12 ethics, 12 ethics, triangulate, locate, okay, project. And this is just operating my cognitive core. This is just how the basis of my cognitive core responds. And then I'm using my emotions to weigh in a metric, like a calibration system, where I'm going, okay, do I want to go over here? No. Do I want to go over here? No. Something doesn't feel right. Why doesn't something feel right? This doesn't feel right because I have a feeling of fear or a logical fallacy. Let's take a look into it. You zoom in. Now you're using mental diversification so you can zoom in and step right into the fear. What is this fear? Let's use words to throw the logic into it and start pulling it apart. So what am I afraid of? I am afraid of being wrong. I am afraid of being wrong. Because if I'm wrong, then I got to sit back and examine all of my logical code. But now is the question, are you wrong or are you impatient? So now is the question, how long should I wait? I don't know. I have checked the logic. Or am I biased? Ooh, let's try and run the logic for the absolute opposite desired results. Let's literally run the logic on the opposite desired results. That I can do. So if I were to write an entire logical code on the exact opposite of what I want, would it fall illogical, improbable? Well, probability doesn't matter. Would it fall illogical? If I can do it with logically, while contradicting 100% of what I want, if I can do it, well, then it invalidates the logic of Sherlock Holmes when he said that once you've removed all possibility. All right, I'll try doing that. And that's really so you have your control group. You use logic to weigh it against your defined standard. And you use your intuition to assess when something feels good or not. It's feel good, feel right, give you joy. It has to feel right, good, and give you joy. Feeling right tells you it's ethical. Feeling good tells you that it is your identity. So you have your ethics and your identity both checking out. If it gives you joy, that means you've got love, and probably you're around the right people. So right, good, joy. Joy is also, happiness, yeah. So using the right, good, joy metric to calibrate your intuition, in addition to using logic to measure the distance from truth to your control group, your bench weight, your literally your bench marker. That will tell you how stupid you are versus how much growth you have. Now you can calculate your growth required. So growth required. So here's how this works. This is where you get the 12 ethics out and you go, okay, how is your courage? If you struggle with courage, there you go. So you now are at a 1, and that's how much growth you have. So you have 36 levels to get to the point of comprehension. The next question is, how are you with self-authority? Confidence, autonomy. Be honest with yourself. You have to be honest. And how are you with self-regulation? How are you with your faith and trust in your own logical skills? Do you trust your logic? The next one you're going to look at is self-regulation. How are you with balancing all of that? Confidence is 100% your logic. You are confident in your logic. That is all you are confident in. Either you are confident in your logic or you are not, and that's a dichotomy. All emotions are dichotomies. So now it's a question of, let me rephrase that, all feelings are dichotomies. So you're sitting there weighing in your confidence, and you might feel 50% confident, but 50% not. You might feel 10% confident and 90% not. So your confidence is built off of you knowing your logic skills are sufficient. There's nothing else here. There is no shortcut. There is no other replacement. This is what confidence is. If you want to be a confident person, you've just got to know that your logic is sound. And the better you get at that skill, the more confidence you're going to have. So again, now we're going to get to your trust. If you have problems trusting people, then you are going to have a problem with these first 3 ethics. Once you have these 3 ethics solid, you will have no problem trusting yourself or people. That is your first metric. Measure your level of trust. On a dichotomy, a ratio, would you say you trust yourself and people? And give yourself a separate measurement for it's you and people. And then there's going to be synergy in there. I have the formula for that. It's on my website. And then when you put those things together, it tells you how much trust you have. So you know, okay, I only have 60% trust. Therefore, I am missing one of the first 3 ethics. Until you have 100% pure trust, you got work to do in those first 3 ethics. There is nothing for you beyond those first 3 ethics. That is where you live, because that's your foundation. They are the foundationals. They are what's going to hold everything up. That is your music. That is your music theory. That is your song, your dance. That is your painting, your writing. Your painting, your sculpting, and your drawing. There is nothing else for you. You need to live, breathe, drink that shit, along with logic and along with some physics. But again, we're back to the music again. And that's what people don't understand, is if you do not have 100% pure, solid, gorgeous fucking trust, you've got work to do in those first 3, which means you are a first ethic, a second ethic, or a third ethic. Now, if you are solid on the trust, if you're going, oh, I got 100% trust, you are fucking solid. All right, great. Let's move on to the next one. The next one we're looking for is justice. The problem is a lot of people don't know what justice is because they haven't completed the first 3 ethics. So justice is actually one of the first words that you start to hear in the 12 ethics where people actually don't know what it means, because you have to be there to experience it, to know it. So most of you don't know what justice is. Most of you do not know what equal footing means. Most of you do not know what accountability means. Most of you, because you're mostly 4th perspectives, most of you don't even know what self-control is. Self-control is your ability to make your rules, your standards for yourself. That's what a rule is. A standard of metric rule. That is when you use boundaries, because you are using your ethics to measure your boundaries against someone. That's what ethics are for, is to define the standard so you can set a boundary, so you can make a standard metric of rule. They are not up to the ethical standard. I should not be around them. So what you're really doing is you are defining your ethical standard. But if you are a first perspective, your ethical standard is 1. If you are a second perspective, your ethical standard is 2. If you are a third perspective, then your ethical standard is 3. The problem is, if you actually did the work with 1 and 2, then you would not be stuck at 3, which means your ethical perspective is really 1 or 2. So anyone who is stuck in their growth is actually stuck at a point of only having 1 or 2 ethics. You probably only have 1 or 2 ethics. At what point are you unethical? Now, they compound and they give you synergy. So the first 3 ethics gives you a cardinal value, which is trust, which is actually just a glorified. It's a compounded. It's an integrated ethic. That's what trust is. It's an integrated ethic. So when you get an integrated ethic, that would be the synergy ethic. So you have courage, and then you have self-authority and self-regulation. And then from there, you get trust. So even though you have 3 ethics, you're going to end up with 4. Now, as soon as you get that solidified, the very first thing you do is create an ethical standard with it. You now have an ethical standard. But if you have not completed these 4 things, you're not going to have an ethical standard. So now when you are measuring your personal rule or your personal law, you don't have an ethical standard defined in which to do that. So now we're looking at ethical standards, and we're also looking at mental standards. Well, no, we're no, ethical standards, that's what it is. Because the ethics are the academic disciplines. But yeah, so you have to define all of these standards. That way you now have the ability to measure where you are to where you're going. But if you've never gone through the quality, if you've never gone through the setting of the standards, the how am I going to measure my knowledge? How stupid do I think I am? If you don't do this, you can't measure. The problem is when you try and talk to people about that, it's a taboo topic now. You're not even allowed to talk about education, intelligence. Everyone's like, oh, don't talk about that. Why? I know why. I don't want to get into it. The point is, you are at this point now where you can start setting your own ethical standard. Now you can start measuring how smart you are, how stupid you are, how much you have to learn. But you got to define that standard. You define the standard, you can do all the math, you can start calculating. Once you're done calculating, then you know, okay, these are the skills I have to work on. Now you've defined your skills. So after you set the ethical standard, the next thing is going to be selecting the skills. This is the only place I will be discussing the skills. I will not be talking about anywhere else. I have no joy in this, and this is the first time I am finally at a point where I even want to talk about the skills right here in this space. You are not going to find it anywhere else. I will not do anything more on these. For some reason, this does not give me joy outside of this space. So we're going to be talking about the skills next, and that's going to be covered tomorrow. But for now, what I'm doing is this is going to be dropped over into my daily course, Radical Global Healing Plan. And this particular class is there it is. This is where we actually start it, and you can start going through it. So what I've done is I have a playlist, which is literally the pep talk, and that's just getting you to this point. This is class 1. Right here, we are officially at class 1. And then tomorrow we're going to cover class 2, and that's going to be on selecting your skills and being able to determine precisely where it is you need to go on each skill. It's everything. But you're going to be using that sliding metric of defining your ethical standard in order to pull that off. And yeah, I really don't see me talking anywhere else about this ever again. I just, to me, this is exciting right now. I know me. I'm now in the men's space for it, and I'm going, yay! But as soon as I'm out, I'm going to be like, oh, nope, there it is, guys. We just shut that off, and I'm all done. So I'm going to go through the reverse engineering of the skill, what's actually taking place when we do skill building, breaking it down and showing you the actual integration process that is growing. And then I'm going to be breaking it down for each and every skill through mental diversification. And yeah, that's it. And this is like the core beginning of Arcane. This is what you need for Arcane. This is it. It's the mental diversification required for it. And again, this is triadic healing part 5. Like this is part 5. You need to be over there doing part 1 and part 2. And I'm going to be toggling back and forth on it, but you really need to be doing this with part 1, part 2, and all that jazz. I mean, technically this is part 1, but also it depends on how far. No, it's not part 1. It is part 1 because we're not going beyond the 6th here. Right now, we're just getting you prepped up and showing you how to use your brain. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. Thank you so much, and may the truth always find you.